Why do you call me Lord, Lord, but don't do what I say? I'll tell you what that's like. That's like trying to build a house on sand instead of a rock. That's what Jesus says. When the storm comes, it's going to knock you out. Building your house on ground that is loose, that is shaky, that's exactly what everybody in the world's doing. But what God says is, hey, if you just take the teachings of Jesus and apply those to your life, you actually do it. Make him Lord of your life, not just mentor, not just advice or teacher, but actually Lord of your life. If you do what he says, then you will have a house that is built on a foundation that will last. He says, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will always remain. The one thing you can count on that will always be faithful, will always be unchanging, is the person and the work of Jesus. I'm so excited that you're starting this new life group semester with a group of friends. I'm imagining you're on Zoom right now, or maybe in a backyard, or maybe here at the Freedom Center at one of the round tables. And I'm just so excited about these next few weeks together because of the people that are right in front of you. You know, on the message I talked about this last weekend, I talked about your faith has to be mixed with action in order to work. But really that comes to life when you're in the life of people. I held up rebar and I said that a foundation needs rebar to keep it together, and you need people in your life to help you apply God's word. And so over these next few weeks, I pray that you would commit to those people, that you would see them the way God sees them and see yourself the way that God sees you. You're important to this group. So pray for each other every day. I even want to give you a next step, a challenge. You know, the Uncomplicated app, if you've downloaded it yet, there's a Bible reading plan on there. There's classes for new believers. You can listen or read the Gospel of Luke this week. You can even, through the subscription, actually watch a video every single day on Luke. If you want to take things to the next level with your group, maybe commit to doing that together. I know that that's what we do in my group, and we watch the video every morning, and it's been a real game changer, especially for people who read the Bible and they go, I want to apply it to my life, but I don't know how. That's why we created Uncomplicated Ministries, to help keep faith uncomplicated. Now, here's some questions for your group. Number one, share a time when you heard what God told you to do and then you didn't do it, okay? And how that worked out for you. I feel like if I was in your group, I could share a dozen things off the top of my head. I could tell you times when the Lord said, hey, go pray for that person. And I was like, no, that's not God speaking to me. Or I could tell you times where I just deliberately, I'm embarrassed to say this, but ignored his voice and did what I thought was best, built my house on the sand instead of the rock. And man, I can tell you that all came crashing down because I'm not trustworthy. He's trustworthy. I leaned into my feelings instead of leaning into the truth. Now, I can tell you lots of stories like that. I think that's the kind of icebreaker question that might help you build some trust. You only got 7 weeks together, so might as well start sharing the embarrassing stories now. But then also share a moment where you did something hard. Like you knew that it was a step of faith, but you did it. I was talking to a lady today, a much older lady that, I had to lean in to hear what she was saying. And she said in her quiet voice, she said, I hadn't talked to my sister in 5 years, but because the Lord convicted me in the message about forgiveness, I'm paraphrasing, she goes, I drove all the way, how many hours to go see her. I knocked on the door and she wasn't there. And I went to breakfast and I said, Satan, I'm gonna obey God. And I came back and I knocked on the door and then she opened it and we've been talking ever since. And she just was so excited about how God had restored her life. And it was so hard for her to actually do that, to forgive and to move forward. And she had to do something hard. She had to go drive hours. She had to go swallow her pride. She had to not just knock on the door once, but come back in order to follow through with what God told her to do. And it just made me so happy to hear that story because she said, the teachings of Jesus, how this has changed her life. And I want you to have a story like that. Like, this is what God did for me, so he can do it for you. And I think that if you share some stories like that in your group, it'll not only be a great icebreaker, but it will all point to how good God's been as a father to all of you, as brothers, as sisters, as God's family. The homework for this week would be to read Luke. Maybe it's to download the app and start reading it 1 chapter a day, or maybe it's to bite off something a little smaller that you can chew. Maybe just read 1 chapter this week, but be the kind of friends that don't just hold each other accountable to what you're not gonna do, but actually say, we're gonna be the kind of group that says, we're gonna read the Bible, we're gonna soap, We're gonna do the life journal method or whatnot. We're gonna pray for each other. And man, give it all you got for the next 7 weeks, and let's see how close you become on the other side. I think you'll be closer to God and closer to each other. You'll make our church stronger. Thank you so much for committing to this life group season. Love you guys. I'm proud of you.